I want to ask you, Myron, though, about this other story which has come out of the UK Telegraph this week. Utterly shocking. According to this group called Prevent, which is the anti-radicalisation government program, they're now saying that the real radical threat is people who think that just maybe there's a problem with integration and that Western culture is under threat from migrants who come in great numbers and don't integrate. And they're saying that this is now cultural nationalism, and they suggest that this is a radical ideology that needs to be stamped out and have people re-educated on. This is really concerning, and this is where I think people like Dominic Cummings have been going and warning of just how terrified the British state is of people in Britain being concerned that their country is being taken away from them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm concerned. This is massive. Prevent is a government organisation designed to stop terrorism, and terrorism is essentially blowing things up or driving cars into people. But instead, they've managed to turn their attention to far-right terrorism in particular, which only makes up a tiny fragment of terrorism. Most of it is Islamist. And they seem to be homing in on people who are concerned about mass immigration, who are concerned about, as you said, cultural nationalism, which seems to be a buzzword for really just being patriotic. And so what they're looking to do is refer such people to a de-radicalisation programme. And it's interesting, one of the points that was made in that Telegraph article was that Keir Starmer himself recently made a speech about the country becoming an island of strangers as a result of mass immigration. So perhaps he might be referred to Prevent. But the issue of this is that Prevent, they're silencing the majority. They're silencing common opinion. And I'm really concerned about this. I don't want to sound hyperbolic or overly dystopian, but I'm concerned about violence erupting. We've had Professor David Betts, an academic of war studies, actually map out that when you have a combination of mass immigration, economic decline, and government overreach, then you're setting a situation which is ripe for this kind of violence and these kind of tensions to develop. Even just recently, Lisa Nandy, the culture secretary, she openly said that parts of England look like they're about to go up in flames. So Prevent, the government establishment really need to get a grip of the situation and understand the needs, the feelings and the tensions that are building. And instead of actually trying to stamp it out, give them a voice and actually deal with the concerns at the root level.
Absolutely. And Myron, part of that is obviously the illegal immigrants pouring in over the border. The problem that has been since Brexit is that after Brexit, Britain didn't pull out of the European Court of Human Rights, which means that anybody coming across the border can just go straight to the Court of Human Rights there in Europe. Kemi Badenoch has now joined, basically imitating the policy of reform and saying we're going to pull out of the ECHR. What do you make of that? The Conservatives are now copying reform very blatantly.
Well, it's interesting. She hasn't quite mimicked reform yet. So Keir Starmer is absolutely wedded to the ECHR because it's against his religion to leave it. Nigel Farage has openly declared that he will leave the ECHR. And Kemi Badenoch called a massive press conference to announce that she may be leaving the ECHR. And the reason why she's so tentative is because her party is deeply split on this issue. I always say about the Conservative Party, it's two souls trapped in one body. So she's fearful of her own members of her own party. So she's creeping up to the issue bit by bit by bit, trying to, desensitize them to the shock of what's going to happen when they actually potentially do leave the ECHR. But yes, she's playing catch up with Reform UK, exactly that.
And the bedwetters and the Tories continue to hold them back, just like the bedwetters in our Liberal Party. And Reform is now leading several polls, ahead of Labor, ahead of the Tories. Is this the end of the two-party system, effectively, in the UK?
It would seem so. I mean, Nigel Farage, as I said to you last time, I think he's kind of declared, medically declared the Conservative Party dead and over. And then, yes, they're a third party. We no longer have a two-party system. It's potentially a three-party, or at least just two parties with Reform UK and Labour. Kemi Badenoch is on the ropes. It's quite likely that she might get ousted by the end of the year. And the Conservative Party are changing chairmans like socks, and they're changing leaders like underwear. So that's the state of the Conservative Party right now. Will it survive? I don't think so.
Sounds very similar to what's happening over here. Dear, oh dear. Just quickly before you go, Myron, We played the Dawn French clip earlier where she appeared to be mocking the idea of October 7th, mocking Jewish people for in some weird accent that she was putting on. She's now apologised, which is great. But how common is this sort of casual anti-Semitism in Britain? It seems to be getting worse, in my opinion.
I think it is. I mean, amongst the celebrity, let's say liberal elite class, there is an echo chamber, and they seem to sort of parrot the same things back at each other: pro-Palestine, free Palestine. And so they believe the propaganda being released by Hamas in particular. Look, I've got time for people who've got a genuine argument for the Palestinian side of the situation. But Dawn French didn't really have a genuine argument. She trivialized the whole thing. October the 7th was a bad thing, is the way that she described it, in a kind of mocking, self-righteous tone. Look, she's apologised. We make mistakes. It was a moment of madness, I hope, and we hopefully can just draw a line under it. She is a national treasure. I hope she can move on from it, and the rest of the country can as well.
Fantastic, Myron. Great to chat to you as always. Thanks so much for staying up and speaking to us here on Outsiders. It's Myron St. Paul. Nathan.